What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media. It's, of course, the Trust the Bank podcast. The Ravens are 3-2. They just lost to the Steelers. This show, it's being recorded on Tuesday. Rough, man. Rough. What were your thoughts on that game? Obviously, we'll get into a lot of stuff throughout this one, but let us know in the comments, everybody who's watching live and such. But it was rough.
Oh man, what can I say? Like you said, it was rough. We needed we needed a whole Monday just to regroup because that was a distasteful performance. I texted McConnell, man. I said, "Yo, the media is literally slandering Lamar for this loss." I'm like, "Yo, 7 drops, damn near close to 10 drops." Yes, he did throw an interception. Yes, he did have. He did fumble the ball, but he was in throwing motion. Ronnie Stanley just came back and got his behind beat by I believe was it Alex Highsmith?
Yeah, I believe it was Highsmith.
Yeah, it was Alex and TJ Watt damn near got a touchdown. Almost like that Thursday night game with the Steelers against the Browns. A lot of just wacky stuff happened, and it just played into the Steelers' favor. Justice Hill, he fumbled the ball. Granted, he did get a touchdown, but man, it's rough. It's rough. It's rough knowing that it was an AFC North rivalry game. We knew it wasn't going to be pretty, but in that fashion and in that form, it's like, yo, when are we going to ever take that step and really be the team that they feel like they can be and who we feel like they can be?
Yeah, I said it before. I'm not calling him by his name. I'm calling him Brother of Jim. But this comes down to Brother of Jim. Every time the Ravens play an opponent that they should beat over the last 3 seasons, even if they do win, it's usually pretty dreadful. It's very rare. Like last week or 2 weeks ago against the Browns, that was a very rare game where the Ravens played a complete game against a team that they should have beaten. A backup quarterback with a good defense. They went out there and they punished them. This week, Lamar Jackson played spectacular. I think he had one bad play, and I think that was the interception he threw. An awful throw. I'm putting that one 100% on Lamar. Like that interception was on Lamar. But other than that, he was great. He avoided the pressure very well. He was sacked, 4 times, but he could have been sacked for a lot more. He was avoiding pressure. He had a play to Zay Flowers on a 3rd and long where he rolls out, keeps the head up, and then hits Zay about 15 to 18 yards down the field. And you know what? The Ravens had some drops. Zay Flowers was targeted 11 times in this game. We're trying to feed him the ball. He had 5 receptions, 73 yards. He had 2 drops. And both of them very good throws. Both of them in not necessarily key situations, but situations where it's like, okay, the Ravens are moving, they have momentum. And then Mark Andrews, Mark's had a drop problem.
Yeah, let's not forget
he's had a drop problem. And then Zay fell on his butt.
I was about to say, let's not forget how he just stumbled over his cleats, and Nelson Aguilar, he just he did what Nelson Aguilar does. It was right. Yeah. It was right in his hands. Even
right in the hands.
Even Rashad, it was literally in the end zone. Like 3 touchdowns, 21 points.
And then I felt like when Lamar threw that pass to Mark Andrews in the end zone, I felt like that was to Zay. Like I thought 100% that was going to Zay. I saw Zay cutting across the back, and I'm like, yes, Zay. And then I just see Mark out of nowhere try and jump up and catch it. And I'm like, Mark Andrews, for the credit he gets for being such a dominant tight end and like this pass catcher, it's like, okay, he does not have the best hands at the tight end position. He drops too many passes. And we've talked about this many times in big games where it's just like, I remember the Chiefs game a couple years ago, Lamar back shoulder, and it's just like hits him here. And it's like, oh, it just falls out. And you're like, Mark, what are you doing? Lamar hits him for a first down right after that Zay drop. Lamar hits him. He's dropping down to the ground, but Lamar throws it low so we can protect Mark, hits him in the hands, drops it. And you're like, Okay, well, there goes that drive. That just
Yeah.
kills a drive instantly with 2 drops. But the ultimate killer, I think this comes down to brother of Jim. This team loses momentum like no team I've ever seen the entire year. I mean, the last 8 years. I don't know. Every time the Ravens will start out hot. Whenever they start out hot, it's like they look like they're going to run away with the game, right? All the
Yeah.
time. Maybe half the games they play, it looks like first 2 drives, first 3 drives, whatever. And then all of a sudden, some player just makes some stupid fumble. It's always a fumble. This week, it was Justice Hill. Oh, punch from behind. I think it happened with Justice Hill earlier in the season as well. And it's like, oh, fumble. Okay, we can bounce back. And then they don't bounce back. And it's like the team loses everything. They have no more juice. It's like, you guys were rolling. And even the play where Justice Hill fumbled, it was a good play. It was just a great play by the defender to get up and punch the ball. And it's like, you just lose it all. Again, I love what Tom Munkin's doing. Love the offense that's being called. The guys are open. Lamar's hitting the throws. The catches just weren't being made. And I think this was an outlier type of game. And Rashad Bateman, rough game. I still believe in Rashad Bateman, guys. I think the biggest thing that he needs to do is practice. I think he misses a lot of time, and then the Ravens seem to rush him back, and then he seems like not out of shape, but out of sorts. Like he hasn't, gotten enough reps in that week. It's like, let's get him back at practice and stop forcing him onto the field.
He's looking like Miles Boykins, just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, at least he gets open though.
Yeah, I mean he has a better upside than Miles Boykin and Rashad Perriman. I'll take Bateman over those guys any day. It's just like you said, man. He has to get the reps. He has to build that continuity with his QB to be that number one guy. I mean, we would love for him to be the number one guy. That's why we drafted him. We see the potential. We just need Rashad Bateman to finally blossom and be the wide receiver, that we know he could be. We've seen the highlight tapes, we've seen the flashes, when he has been active and healthy. It falls down with him. It falls down with him. It falls down on those reps, like you say. I know people. I don't know how you feel about it. I saw Rex Ryan made some statements about the wide receiver coach, about training the guys using the rugby ball. I'm assuming the rugby ball is longer, maybe bigger, and he maybe used that technique during practice. So when it comes to football, it becomes more natural for them to catch. I don't know. I don't think it's the wide receiver coaches. I think Keith is in bringing in Greg Lewis. Those are not bad guys. It falls down.
They hadn't had a drop all year. It's not like this was an ongoing issue. It seemed like, obviously recent years it's been an issue.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those games where the Ravens weren't ready. Brother of Jim, thank you. It happens all the time. How often do we see the Ravens go against a worse opponent and they just aren't ready? Maybe they're looking forward to a nice vacation.
Way too many times.
Getting to London. But the mistakes that the Ravens have down the stretch against the Steelers has destroyed them in how many matchups consecutively. They continuously lose. Remember a couple years last year, maybe it was 2 years ago. Oh, let's go for it. Let's hit Mark Andrews. Oh, unblocked TJ Watt.
Yeah.
Misses the 2-point conversion. We lose. And you're like, dude, these mistakes. The snap on 4th down where Harbaugh's like, there's a communication error there.
And he's
brother of Jim. Brother of Jim, we've lost 2 games now on communication errors. Zay Flowers fair catches the kickoff. Mm-hmm. We lose the game. He's like, oh, there was a communication error. Then snap the ball on 4th and 1 with 15 seconds left in the first half. And it's just like, okay, there's 3 points. The drop touchdowns is obviously points. If we get any of those to happen, the Steelers have to play differently. They're playing for touchdowns. So they're not able to kick a field goal down the stretch. And all these things just start happening. It's like the defense is allowed, I believe, 4 touchdowns this year. The defense is great. The Ravens offense And no longer because of play calling, now down to execution. It used to be play calling. The play calling just sucked, and then they just go 3 and out. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
This week it was just like, oh, we had 2 drops on a drive. There's a 3 and out. I feel like they looked really good, and it's just like, oh, the defense locks them down. I mean, the Steelers had Kenny Pickett threw the ball for 200 yards on 32 attempts. The Steelers ran the ball for 87 yards. You held them down to 300 yards. That's a great defensive performance. You allowed 1 touchdown. You allowed 2 field goals and a safety.
Yeah, they
What
did
they
that
allow?
safety.
I think it was 2 field goals, safety, field goal. Yeah, 2 field goals, a safety, and a touchdown. And it's like, oh, wow, the touchdown. Yeah, that sucked. 8 plays, 80 yards. But you know what happened before that? This is the amount of drives that the Ravens had to play. All right, this is the Ravens defense. This was the offense in the second half to start. 5-play punt, 4-play punt, 3-play safety, instantly back on defense, 3-play punt, 3-play interception. And then they give up the big touchdown drive. It's like, no shit. Really? They sat out there playing defense for 25 consecutive minutes, and then they gave up a touchdown.
You know what, McConnell? I think I wanted to ask you this question. I want your thoughts on this, man. Because sometimes when we do our scouting reports, in the off season, we look at people in the draft, we talk about who we like and things of that nature. How does it feel seeing 2 of the guys that we sought out, that we felt like could be a Raven, made 2 strong plays to put their team in position to win the game? Because I was highly pissed seeing NFL young boy put that burner on Marlon, and I was even more pissed of seeing JPJ using the big frame and accepting the ball in the end zone, and then telling Odell, go be a family man. I said, oh, that hurt my heart. But I feel you, young man. Talk your talk. Just don't talk it to my guys like that.
I'll say this. I was pissed when the Steelers drafted Joey Porter Jr., especially because they got him for trading Chase Claypool to the Bears. That's how they got that pick. It was Chase Claypool for Joey Porter Jr. straight up. Joey Porter Jr. is a stud. That's the guy we were disappointed we drafted Zay Flowers over. That was the guy. That's who we wanted. I'm not saying I regret the pick. I think Zay's still a stud. But don't act like we were out here, crying over Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, but that George Pickens, George Pickens was there when we drafted David Ojabo. I don't know how that's looking right now.
George Pickens looks good. David Ojabo's missing time. It's just like, this team is just so frustrating because it's like, Lamar plays so well, and then the national media looks at the box score and they're like, let's talk about Lamar. Are they getting their money's worth with Lamar Jackson?
Yes. And I'm so glad RG3 damn near wanted to cuss on national TV. I'm glad he spoke out.
You know what they did? They bought a PlayStation 5 and kept the PS4 games. Like, that's what they're trying to do. They're like are you getting your money's worth? Well, no, you also got to have other guys do something, right? It's like buying a toaster, but not any toaster waffles. Like, you're not getting anything out of it just because you have it. They have Lamar. They're trying to feed him. They're trying to get him those, equipments. But just this week, I feel like the rest of the weeks it's been really solid. They've missed, obviously, some guys have missed time. This week they underperformed, and the supporting cast was not there for Lamar. I felt like the offensive line was fine. You're playing the Steelers. The offensive line isn't going to look great. It never will. But the wide receiver struggled. The defense looked really good. It was just the wide receivers. They didn't look ready. And it's also a situation where it was Odell's first game back, Bateman's first game back. Didn't practice very much the week before.
Yeah.
And that's just, you got to get on the practice field. You got to be on the practice field. I feel like the Ravens tried to rush him back. I felt like Marlon played fine. I thought Marlon actually played really well outside of the last play, where they got that big touchdown. But, I mean, your one-on-one coverage, you're not expecting a deep route because it's 3rd and 6 and you're running cover 0. You're expecting them to get the ball out quick. George Pickens is able to get, half a step, and just good ball by Pickett.
Yeah, true. Man, it's I had to take a nap. I had to take a nap throughout the game just to keep my mental, because I refused to let them piss me off that bad. Like, it damn near gave me, was that the 2019 playoff game or 2020 playoff game when we had the 7 drops? Like, it
That
gave
was
me
2019, yeah.
that gave me that. It felt like deja vu or that all over again. I granted it's only week 5, but shucks. Everybody has high hopes for this team. Do I feel like we still can win out and make it to the playoffs? For sure. But something has to turn on and click for these guys now. We haven't had a great run in the UK neither. Especially if we had to play against Jaguars. Jaguars are undefeated in the UK. They might as well move that team over to the UK because I don't know what it is. They just got the upper hand on dudes. But I feel like, do I feel confident that we can take on the Tennessee Titans? Sure. But this team has to stop being their own worst enemy. It's not the Ravens versus the Rouse. It's not the Ravens versus their opponent. It's the Ravens versus themselves versus their own coaching. If you're supposed to be this great game time manager, of the clock and things of that nature, why for the past 3 years we always been seeing plays always getting in at the last minute, and we only have a little bit of time on the clock to snap the ball off, stupid stuff like that. Or granted, I do understand of when to go for it on 4th and 2, 4th and 3. Yeah, that brings the guys that brings the camaraderie, and those guys sometimes get it. But you got damn near one of the best kickers in the league. Kick the damn ball, get the points. What happened to those days? Is it because we're making touchdowns? Because at one point we used to just rely on the 3 and rely on defense. Now I feel like because we can make points on offense, some things you're going away. And like you said earlier, man, we can't continue to try to go up in points and then try to play conservative. When you in a race, you're not cruising. You're still hitting the gas. Maybe got to go to the pit stop, put on some new brakes, get some fill up. But you back out in them lanes. You getting back to it to make sure you're sustaining your lead. So nobody gain up on you. And with this conservative play of, okay, we're gonna get up on the first half and try to eat up clock, that's not going to continue to work against certain teams. You had to constantly put the pressure on dudes, because if you give someone a chance to fight back, they want to take it. And that's what the Steelers did this past Sunday. They took it. They saw it. They kept on making things happen, and they made it happen.
I just want one time the Ravens lose for me to be content. Because I'm very content when my sports teams lose, and I'm like, you know what? The opposing team, both teams played well. Mm-hmm. Ravens lost. I'm fine with that. I don't care. I'm like, that happens. When was the last time the Ravens lost where you're like, you know what? The other team was just better. It was probably like 2019 against the Chiefs or something, when you're like, you know what? They're a better team. We couldn't get it done, but that's okay. Like, that was the last time where it's like, you're not upset after a loss. You're like, that was a tough win. That would have been a tough win. We played well. We played hard. Every time the Ravens lose, like, oh, they lost to the Colts because they mismanaged the clock at the end. And then, really awful fourth quarter officiating and the end of the game. But really, it was just mismanagement of the clock by the Ravens. You're like, okay, well, that's stupid. How'd they lose to the Steelers? Well, they dropped 7 passes. Everyone else played really well. And you're like, okay. So they shot themselves in the face. All right. What about the playoff games? Maybe you could say Buffalo Bills playoff game. Ravens did their best. Bills just were better. That's one where I would say, okay, you know what? They did well. But Lamar got hurt in that game, so we didn't really get to see the end. But up to that point, I felt like the Ravens, they were playing all right. It just was, he threw the pick six, and then it was like, all right, whatever. Now he has a concussion. But other than that, you lose to the Titans in the playoff games. Oh, ton of seven drops. You're like, dude, what are you doing? Stop beating yourselves. And brother Jim needs to tell his team, hey, I retire. Let's get a new coach in here. I'm just waiting. It's not that he's a bad coach. I'm fine. I have no problem with him. I just want the Ravens to look prepared. And they consistently don't look prepared. But that's it. They get outcoached in close games. In messy games, they always get outcoached.
Yeah, man. Listen, I just can't call it, and I don't know if it's an ego thing with John, but it seems like he don't bring guys in that's going to challenge him. I mean, granted, when we have a boss, we don't want to bring in guys that's going to challenge the boss. We want challenge. Well, I'm gonna say this: challenge them in a way that it's going to be a negative turnout. If you want to challenge someone, let's challenge each other to be better. And if I'm building a coaching staff, that's the type of guys I want. I want my coaches to be dogs. I feel like John Harbaugh could have been a dog, but he ain't got that dog in him. He a pup. He a chihuahua. We need a for the type of style of offense and this type of style of ball that we even played and known and loved for the Ravens. We need a pit bull, Rottweiler, Great Dane type of coach. I'm talking about Mike McDaniel, Dan, and
Campbell.
Dan Campbell in Detroit. We just need somebody that's going to really relate to the guys, get them fired up. I know everybody say, John Harbaugh is the players coach and everything like that, but let's not forget when he had some Hall of Famers in his locker room, he didn't get that same type of love and respect that he's getting out of these young guys. He was trying to implement his way and shut these voices down and not let them be them. But they had to, them Hall of Famers had to let them know, hey, you just coming into this facility, man. We've been running this for a while.
Remember, Ed Reed and Ray Lewis did not like Harbaugh.
Bernard Powell didn't even.
So it's just oh yeah, Harbaugh's the players coach, and he tried to come in and just step over Ray Lewis as the leader of the team. And you're like, you don't want your coach to be the leader. You can have him be a leader, but you want a player to be that guy. And I think we have Roquan. I think he's our leader. And I think he does a good job of that. But Harbaugh, I feel like they're just not prepared. That is my problem. They're just not prepared. These crazy games when everything goes awry, that's when discipline and coaching come down to it. And how do the Ravens lose to the Steelers every time? Because there's a guy over there named Mike Tomlin. And the Steelers aren't making those mistakes that the Ravens do down the stretch. Every time it's a messy game. And we say, hey, it's going to be messy. It's always messy against the Steelers. But that's why the Steelers beat the Ravens all the time. It's because it's messy. And the Ravens can't play messy because they're not disciplined. And they commit penalties. And they turn the ball over late. And they have bad drops. That's discipline. And I don't know. I just don't know what Harbaugh's doing other than helping Lamar Jackson stay happy. Lamar likes him, obviously. I think most of the players like Harbaugh. Yeah. That's not the problem. You can like your boss. That doesn't mean your boss is, good anymore. They might just like you because he lets you do what you want. Oh, hey, man, can I clock out early? Sure. I like that guy more than the guy that tells me, to stay late. The guy that tells me, no, we're not going for this on 4th and 3 at the 40. We're going to, we're going to take the points. We're going to take the field goal.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? But Jim, brother of Jim, he lets me. Well, I'm not brother of Jim, all right? I'm actually a good coach, and I'm going to tell you no sometimes. I don't know. A lot of people talk about Harbaugh, and they're like, oh, yeah, future Hall of Famer.
Yo, if he
I'll tell
makes
you
it to
this.
the
I
Hall
don't
of
care if he
Fame,
makes the Hall of Fame. I would not call him a Hall of Fame coach. I'll say that.
that's yeah. That's not him. That's not him at all. And I know we had this conversation, but I think we gotta address it. Like Lisa,
Apparently,
it's
there's a miscommunication. The Harbaugh specialty.
he's and I don't think EDC pulls the plug on him. I really don't think EDC pulls the plug on him. Like, even though yes, he got the 3-year contract extension, we have seen coaches still get the plug pulled on them. The thing is, who do you bring in next to be the head coach here in Baltimore? I don't think we should be doing an in hire. I think this time you do need to go out there and vet some guys and really see what they're about. Just like how we went out there and found Todd Monken. I think they really need to take a hard look and see who's out there. Bring somebody in fresh, and I'm not going to say whether they need to be young or old, but they need to be a guy that's with the times, that's with the innovation, that's with the movement of how football is being played. So I don't know, because Bill Belichick, they becoming stoned. Nah.
You don't want number 37 in the building?
As much as I love Coach Brown, that's not his calling.
Yeah, I think he's a college coach.
Yeah, some people's wheelhouse is college, and some people's wheelhouse is the NFL. He's a true nurturer, and I feel like the life lessons and the nurturing that he does, it's not going to correlate with what he to the NFL. I just said no in-house guys. No, it should not be a move up from the in-house. No.
I'm fine with Mike McDonald.
At
least he's a young mind.
If it happens, I mean, hey, I can rock with it, but I want them to go out there and get an offensive-minded dog. Like, we got a dog on defense with Mike McDonald.
This is discipline. This is having your players know the situation and saying, center, don't snap the ball. If a guy goes offside, every other offensive lineman, you can point, you can look at that neutral zone infraction. Don't try and snap the ball, center, on 4th and 2. That is a game plan. That is a philosophy, and that wasn't communicated. And and brother of Jim said that it was a communication error. Again, man, I don't know what these coughs are.
And for the record, a center should never be calling his own play just because he sees someone, in the neutral zone trying to snap the ball to get somebody all sides. When this is a chippy AFC North rivalry game, that just don't work.
I feel like whoever was next to him tackled him. I don't know who was trying to pick him up, but they're like trying to pick him up. Has anybody
number
tried to
18
run while some guy's picking you up? And you're like falling over, and you're like, dude, stop holding me back. Like, I'm getting my balance. I don't know. Whoever was next to him, I feel like tripped him.
It was like, I don't know who was number 18. I think it was number 18 that was next to him. It was pretty much like, it was trying to carry him in. Like, yo, let him get his own momentum. But yeah, for sure. That definitely would have helped us out a lot. And Void, I know you said Saban, but Saban's retiring from Alabama. He's not going. And he already learned his lesson coming into the NFL previously.
Yeah, Saban's a college coach. Chip Kelly's a college coach.
Jim Harbaugh learned his lesson, and look where he's back at.
College coach. Brother of Jim. Probably college coach. No, I mean, you got to find somebody that knows, that wants to bring something new when you have someone with Lamar Jackson. And I think Todd Monken has done that. But I think the Ravens, their philosophy and everything about John Harbaugh and just the mistakes that they consistently make, I mean, here's the problem. What would Harbaugh even have to? What would brother of Jim have to do to get fired? Like he's going. Like if he leaves, it's going to be him stepping away. It will not be him getting fired.
Yeah, it's tough. Like they would have to. Oh my gosh! As bad as I want Lamar to get a Super Bowl and make playoffs and stuff like that in the next 5 years, he would have to literally play like dog shit. Because he's the one saving Harbaugh's job. If we're being completely honest, he's saving Harbaugh. 2018, rookie Lamar Jackson saved him. He would not be here in Baltimore if rookie Lamar Jackson, raw Lamar Jackson, did not save him.
Yeah.
But with Lamar Jackson, he always gives us a chance. And with this Todd Monken offense, we have more of a chance. It comes down to execution, like you say, gameplay, time management, all things that should be worked on in practice.
Void, you're right. You're right.
The massage.
I think if enough of us band together, we could get some stuff going.
Oh,
we could just start. We could start some rumors. Maybe try and get him out of there.
Do we call Eric the enemy? No, I think if Ron Rivera leaves, he moves up.
Yeah, they'd probably just want the enemy out. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm fine with our OCs. Like, if I don't know, I'd be okay with an internal hire. I'd probably want Mike McDonald because I feel like he's more likely to be stolen by another team for a head coaching job. Because I think with the way the Ravens defense is playing this year, they're allowing 266 yards a game. Like, that's really, really good. I don't think people understand how good that is, especially in the modern NFL where, quarterbacks are throwing for, 250.
Yeah.
Like, that's really, really tough. So, defense is playing great. I don't know. Mike McDonald would be my option there, but, I mean, it's not happening. We're not getting rid of brother of Jim. Sorry. It's just not happening. Yeah. Unless if Mama Harbaugh asks for it, then maybe it happens. It's the only person that brother of Jim likes.
Yeah, man, it's rough. It's rough watching those type of games. Like, we said it before, in the pregame shows and the recordings, it could always fall down to us, being our own worst enemy because we have the best. I feel like sometimes in some games we do have the better talent. I feel confident as hell. Even though we are in the UK playing against Tennessee Titans, I still feel confident. That we could beat them. Well, we got it. We're knowing that we got some of our guys back before that Steelers game. I felt like I was watching Endgame all over again. When everybody started coming out and Cap hears the Falcon on the radio. You say, "Hey, Cap, I'm here, man. Look to your six. Avengers Assemble. So I felt very confident that those guys could definitely made a difference change, and I feel even more confident. Us leaving to go to the UK, getting adjusted to the time frame, still being able to practice, and I feel like we can go ahead and get a W. But we had to execute. Execute needs to be. Execute needs to be their new word. That needs to be slapped around all around the damn locker room. Hell, I don't know if they need to ramp up the practice days or whatever the case may be, but something got to give. Oh. Boy. For you know something. You know something. You name them.
Boyd, you go for it, man. Oh my God. I will say, go Orioles tonight. Game 3. It's not looking good so far.
It's not looking good at all. It's not looking good at all. But so somebody's team bounced back,
One team.
But since we're talking about other sports, how did you feel about the Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren? The Chet Holmgren matchup.
That was more fun watching that first half than I watched in all of the regular season last year. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Wemby, must watch. But Chet Holmgren, also must watch. Those guys were just going back and forth.
I'm glad to see him back, though. I'm glad to see
they
Chet
both. I mean, I think Chet put up 21 and 9 with a block in the first half. He didn't play the second half, and Wemby basically only played the first half, and he put up like 19 and 5 and a block and a steal or something like that. Both on like 70 and 75% shooting. They were just going crazy. Wemby had more highlights of just like, kind of crazy plays, but Chet was just on the block, fake, spin, foul, take it to the guy and one, rebounding, alley-oops. Those guys are legit. We haven't seen centers come into the NBA like either of them. I mean, I don't know when the last time we got a good center in the draft was.
It's been a long time.
You could say big man and you could say Anthony Davis. But like, Embiid was too injured early on to really kind of gauge. Like, obviously he looked really good, but it was like barely play. So it's like,
it's going to be one of the better big man matchups. Like, it's not going to be Yao Ming Shaq-esque. It's going to, because they are a new style of big man.
I mean, I kind of like the Yao Ming Shaq comparison where they're both just so big and unique, but just different styles.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, you definitely can get some similarity out of it for sure. So, I'm looking forward to see how they match up against each other in the regular season. Do y'all got them on the schedule?
Oh, yeah. We actually play them in the in-season tournament on TNT, primetime television, in-season tournament. They're in the bracket. So that'll be a fun game to tune into.
They in San Antonio.
I think they play them they play them 4 times this year. Damn. So they play them in both San Antonio and Oklahoma City.
Nice.
I think they play them 4 times. I know they play them at least 3. But yeah, they're playing them a lot. Both those guys are fun. But Wemby plays the 4, so he doesn't guard the centers, which is really weird. He was guarding Jalen Williams, who's 6'6".
That's the Greg Popovich for you.
Yeah, he doesn't want him on the block. Like, it makes sense because you don't want him kind of just like guarding. You can have a bigger guy in there if you go up against center. But like, I don't know if Chet and Wemby. I don't know if either of them went at each other on the block at all. Like, there was a play where like Wemby drove into him and kind of headbutted Chet on the jaw, and they called Chet for the foul, but it was like, all right, I guess that's a foul, but he got clocked. He gets clocked and hits Wemby on the arm as he's getting clocked, and you're like, okay, whatever. But I mean, they're both just going after, some good players over there. So a lot of fun, both of them. Wemby's legit. I'll say that.
Yeah. What do you say, man? He don't got to be the general manager over here in the NBA. He can just be a player. So hey, we're gonna see him work.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you got anything else you want to talk about?
Nah, man. I guess a new word, like I said, a new word to the Ravens is execution for the rest of the year. Y'all gotta execute.
John Harbaugh. Brother of John Harbaugh.
Oh, okay. Nick just threw a question in the chat.
Ooh. I do not. I'm fine with it. Like, you're looking at it at the time, there's no other player we could have signed because Hopkins was a multi-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Odell signing, remember, that got Lamar to sign the extension, which was huge. And Odell, I feel like, has looked good when he's played. He's just missed 2 weeks. So it's kind of tough. We've watched 3 games of his. Lamar gave him a shot with a jump ball, and Lamar threw a bad pass. Yeah. Lamar puts that on the money. It could have very well been a touchdown. So I'm not regretting it. Odell was not brought in to just be a dominant one. He was brought in to be a puzzle piece because we didn't know who would be the one. And Zay Flowers looks to be taking control, but Odell is still very useful, as is Bateman in this offense. So I don't regret it. What about you?
I definitely don't regret it for the simple fact that I've been said, like, hey, if one guy goes down, well, I need another guy to pick up. And if that guy goes down, I need Odell to come back in and pick up where he left off. I look at Odell as Lamar Jackson, and I look at Odell as Anquan Bolden was to Joe Flacco, his safety net. So he needed someone else to be. He needed that. He's needed that here in Baltimore. He hasn't had that. So Odell can continue to work to be 100% healthy, and work to get in those soft spaces because we've seen him do it, and move the chains. He's like he's never been no big speedy guy. If anything, like you said before, McConnell, his best skill set is his hands, and usually he comes down with everything that he touches. So I don't regret it. It's too soon. It's too soon in my opinion. I definitely feel like he still has some juice left. He still is a good route runner. He still has good hands. He just got to stay on the field. That's Rashad Bateman as well, and Rashad is younger. I know people feel pissed off that we got that guy in the first, but I'm sad to say it. I'd rather take a guy that has more upside and be hurt versus seeing someone that is not playing to his full potential and get a lot of play time as he's been getting, even though he's hurt now too. I'm speaking, and I'm referring to Jason Oweh. It's not Odafe for me right now. It's Jason. I know. I guess they feel like they couldn't draft nobody else. They had to take a potential guy in the first round, and right now he's not living up to the full potential because him and his brother are both out. And I feel like Ojaba's going, whatever his injury is. I don't know if it's been put out. I don't know if it's been fully put out there. I feel like it's a season, and I feel like that's a season-ending injury, and it's sad. It's sad to hear it. It's sad to see it, honestly, because we had high hopes for him too.
Yeah. Well, everyone, if you didn't know, we're going to try and go live for the Stanford, Colorado game on Friday. So make sure to come through to that. We're going to have a little bit of fun before then.
Yes, sir.
And then probably won't do a pregame show considering the game's in London. Maybe we'll do something Saturday evening or something like that to do a pregame show. So everyone, make sure to subscribe, make sure to follow, make sure to come through. Thank you all so much, and we'll see all of you again next time.